Thursday, June 9th, 2021. And today, for the third time, we have the man himself, Johnny Keegan, Johnny Tunstall. What am I calling you now?
You call me whatever you want.
Well, no, I want to make sure that I'm calling you the right Johnny. Johnny, you formerly Johnny Keegan, but of course you're I was going to say maiden name. Listen to me.
Yeah, my maiden name.
Your real name is Tunstall. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'll always have a special place in my heart for Johnny Keegan. He will exist probably forever, but as you know, and some of your listeners know, I am not in radio anymore. It's been a year.
A whole year.
And I am happy as a lark. I am the activities coordinator at Ives Hill Retirement Center.
Right.
They have no idea who Johnny Keegan was. Mm-hmm. Haven't heard the radio since Glenn Miller days.
Yeah. You might
John
be Glenn
Tunstall
Miller
at
to
work.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. And let me just... It seems like we're a little bit hot here.
Okay. So, I mean, this is the third time I've been on your show. I mean...
Yeah.
Am I doing something right, or is this where old radio guys go to die?
No, it's funny you should say that because obviously we had Oz here, and first of all, you're not old yet. You're still there. But what happened is that and the industry got old. You didn't. The industry at this point as we know, back in the 90s, everything became so automated. We had satellite feeds before that. It got watered down. Then the radio industry turned into Wall Street in the mid 90s because the rules changed. So everyone was literally mailing in their shows, literally with emails. Like so we know John Tesh doesn't live in Watertown, New York, but he emails all those segments for him, and it's good stuff. But that's the way the radio business.
I was listening to him today actually, and he's like, today's song of the day is Rick Springfield, Jesse's Girl.
Right.
So cut up.
Yeah, it's all cut up because it's all automated. Ken does a tremendous job. But my point is that radio isn't what it used to be, and it's not just at the level of what sitting behind a microphone. And you would think that would be the last thing that would go. You know how difficult it was working in radio and getting people to actually sit at a microphone. But in our day, when you started, everyone and their brother wanted to be on the radio. Everyone wanted to be the next Wolfman Jack.
And this is where I met you and how things have changed in 30 years. And I love the stories. I met you at a steakhouse in the Seaway Plaza. Was it called Chalette's?
Chalette's Steakhouse. There was one up in Alex Bay, too, I think.
I met you with Tom Messner, the weather guy.
Yeah.
For 10-cent wing night.
Yeah.
30 years ago.
Wow.
Now wings are about $1.50 a piece.
Right. Just the cost alone is over $1 for that. And that's why they're in shortage. But they're good eating, that's for sure. So that was back in 1989. Moved up in 88. So I probably met you the next year. Anthony DeMarco was probably there.
Yeah.
Of course, his place was here years later, where he ultimately died in 2005. It's been 16 years since Anthony DeMarco has been breathing. So again, not just in Watertown, New York. By the way, he's getting some. My former place just lost their number one salesperson. They had to pull teeth to get a replacement. She was making really good money, but Keegan, Johnny.
You call me whatever you want. It's all good, man.
I've known you for 30 years under the same. It's tough to stop now.
You can still do that. I go by Keegan on the DJ business every weekend. Who's your DJ? I got Johnny Keegan.
There you go. And of course, that will last forever.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's just, again, we love this industry. The industry doesn't love us. That seems to be the thing. I shouldn't say it in those terms because it's so cheaply run, operated. I went, and even TV stations around here, there's TV stations that, quite frankly, I don't even know how they keep the doors open to tell you. I don't know how they're doing it because it's a small community. We have way too many radio stations, way too many TV stations, cable, a newspaper that's been around forever that doesn't seem to have any relevance anymore. Somehow or other, they're making it. God bless them. I don't want to see anyone go under, but it's a tough business these days.
And why'd you go back?
Well, I went back, remember, to the capacity of what I'm doing right now. I started this in February, and all of a sudden, Jim Levin said, hey, you want to do the show? Because he wanted me to do the full capacity. I wanted to focus on video, do things like what we're doing right here. This isn't making any money right here, but this is my passion. This has also been your passion too. But in a sense where you and I can sit here and talk about old times and keep it entertaining because there's so many things to be said. We're not sitting here talking politics, although we can, but we could talk about pop culture. We could talk about what you know. So to get into the brain of Johnny Keegan is very interesting because he's a library of all types of things, mostly 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s emphasis, right? 70s, 80s, 90s emphasis. Am I correct?
And today.
Well, yeah, of course. He sounds like a radio liner. But let's face it. You are an 80s child. Is that not
Oh,
correct?
sure.
All right, so let's
70s, 80s.
70s. Okay, so the last time we were here, we were talking about your, and we'll talk more about what now. The resurgence of COVID is somewhat over, I guess. Now weddings are opening up, events are opening up. Are you working each and every week as a Keegan in your services?
Starting next weekend, I will be. Yeah,
Okay, but I've seen you recently, and even during COVID, you seem to be staying busy. You were up at the Bay.
Not enough. I mean,
of course not.
Weddings were changed. I mean, I would play to a crowd of 20. We still want to get married, and I don't know if you know Margaret Coe. She runs the old Lake Ontario Playhouse. I think it's called 1812 Seconds.
Is that what it's called?
Something I always forget the name. I still call it the Lake Ontario Playhouse. That's
right.
the B in Burville.
Right.
Kind of syndrome.
Yeah.
But Sackett's Harbor Ballroom is what she calls it, and she has got a great idea. She's doing these things called pop-up weddings, where she supplies the photographer, the DJ, the party favors, the food, and obviously the venue, all for one price.
Isn't that something?
It's a great affordable price,
right?
And why not? You got everything you need right
Isn't
there.
that what they're doing on the 5th floor of the Lincoln Building as well? I thought
I played there a couple times, and I love it there.
Yeah,
God,
that's
it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
but
yeah, right.
I don't know exactly what they're doing there, but this is what she's doing, and she had me for. Pop-up weddings are called, and it'd be like 20 to 25 people. And I don't even have to meet the bride and groom. I call them up. Hey, what do you want for a song? One of the last times I was there, Glenn, it was a Russian bride.
Was it really?
And all her family. And they didn't speak English that well.
Let me ask you, do you still get paid the same price?
Regardless
of the crowd?
Yes and no. I mean, she just gives me what she feels I deserve. I guess there's never been a talk of money with her. She just gives me something, and I'll gladly take it because I do it because I had nothing else to do.
Well, so you never knew what you were going to get? Is that one of those deals?
Kind of, yeah. I might get 400, I might get 500. I mean,
okay, but it was good money.
It's good money, and I'm not doing anything. It wasn't doing anything. Yeah.
Well, you're doing something. Okay, so but the old days of bringing in like 600,000 pounds of big amplifiers and lights and the tripods themselves.
Dude, when I started,
so what do you do now?
When I started, it was called the CIZ Roadshow.
Yeah.
And we'd rent a U-Haul in Evans Mills, and then we'd drive it back to the station on Gotham. Is it Gotham? Gifford Street.
Gifford Street Road.
Across from the Cold Creek Inn.
Right.
Gifford Street Road.
Which is now a church.
Yeah, and then we would load up, and we'd hire about 2 guys from the radio station and a roadie to carry all this stuff. The amplifiers are now the size of an old CD player, but back then they weighed about 250 to 300 pounds.
Right.
So you'd have to have 3 or 4 guys lift it up, and you'd have 2 turntables and the 6 speakers, and then you had records and crates or CDs and
a flashlight.
You would get home
to look at all.
You'd get home at I think at the time we charged $300, and then if you go an extra hour, it's $50, and we'd get home at 4 in the morning after driving the U-Haul back.
Right.
We would get home at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, and then Dave Luke would say, "I got a complaint, and I want to address it with you."
You had a hole in your sock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He sent me home from Gamble's. Didn't they sell snowmobiles or something in Carthage?
Yeah, they did. Polaris.
You were wearing ripped jeans. You have to go home.
And that's what literally happened at a remote?
Yeah.
In 1991 or something?
You're not going with me. You're wearing ripped jeans.
Oh, my God. And by the way, any type of... And again, he was over the top. He was a typical broadcaster, and again, he was an on-air guy. So I don't know why he turned on himself, essentially. People do that when they get into sales. Today, if you try to do that with the millennials operating in radio or these days, they would just laugh at you. You wouldn't get anywhere.
How come you never got into the DJ wedding scene?
Have
you?
I'd be drunk, first of all. No, I don't. I didn't trust myself to orchestrate all that.
I think you'd talk for 30 minutes and then play a song.
Right. Yeah.
Talk for another 30 minutes.
So, there was this guy. Do you remember Ronald Reagan? Remember how the bride cuts the cake? Hey, what about George Bush? What did we say about that guy? No, for some reason, I couldn't do it like you. Now, obviously, you did it for many years. You still do.
Yeah.
But it's not just weddings. It was a lot of things. But we talked at length about the crazy stuff that went on. You saw girls with no underwear.
Sure.
You had people coming up to you drunk, asking you to play songs that didn't fit the format, whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
ass.
95% of that business is a lot of fun. Is that correct?
I love it,
especially with less equipment.
And that's what and I'm at the age and doing it so long, I can be very picky. If someone just calls and it's like, "Oh, my grandparents are having an 85th anniversary," I know not to take that job.
Why not? That seems like that's like a cake job, that everyone's sitting around and no one can hear shit.
Exactly, but that's what they're doing. They're sitting around. So you're standing there playing music that nobody could give a shit about.
Right.
And I'd rather earn the money and have people have a great time.
So
that's the high for me.
The passion is there.
Yes.
To know, like, you like that guy from Saturday Night Fever. That chick's dancing. What's up with you, man? Like, play something different, man.
I just love to watch you dance.
I tell you, and by the way, who was the one who had the incident in the back seat? What was her name? Her actress, not that particular actress from Saturday Night Fever. What was her name? It was Donna Pascal, who had her own show with the guy from Airplane, Robert. What was his name? A good-looking guy who had the drinking problem.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He was the husband in a show called Angie, believe it or not, on
Okay.
NBC. She had her own show after Saturday Night Live. And
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever, excuse me. And of course, they had a gangbanger on the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. But great movie, one of my favorite movies. I'm glad we brought that up because we talk about movies, we talk about pop culture, music, which you know an incredible amount more than I do, for one. But I can at least stay in the same ballpark with you as far as movies are concerned. Saturday Night Fever, one of the best movies I ever saw.
Still will watch it today. Yeah, always will watch that.
It's a movie about nothing. It really, if you think about it, it's a day in the life of a bunch of stupid guineas, essentially. And I hate to say that, but they were all from Bay Ridge. I'm from Queens, so I got to know that type of class of disco type people with the Sienna shirt. What were those shirts called again? They were shiny and
Flora Plint,
silk, and then you had the big loafer shoes. The bell bottoms. Everything was polyester. People look good though, and the hair, the DAs, the duck's ass, and so forth. Great movie about nothing, but it did to me. I thought it said everything about that era. That's for sure. Not to mention it saved disco.
Travolta ruled the 80s, and then, of course, after Saturday Night Fever, he did Grease.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I do love Grease, but watching it now, I'm like...
It's dated.
The dude is 35 years old playing a high school student. The guy with the tight curly hair.
Yeah, who was the... Yeah, well, all of them were.
35 years old.
The one girl who played the tough girl. What was it? She was 29.
Stockard Channing.
Stockard Channing was 29 years old when she did that movie. And that's the case. A lot of movies about high school people, that were supposed to be 17, 18 years old. Dustin Hoffman was 29 when he did The Graduate. I mean, granted, you're in your early 20s when you graduate college and so forth. 29 years old with Anne Bancroft. And she wasn't much older than he was when she did that movie. But anyway, but one thing is for certain. John Travolta made some serious mistakes in his career until Quentin Tarantino literally brought his career back.
But then he made more mistakes after that.
Well, and you're absolutely right, he did. But let me just go back to what you said before. Grease, of course, was a huge hit. It's an iconic movie. I don't get it. The last 5 minutes actually looks like a college production in some stupid carnival setting in a parking lot in California, all dance, and the car flies into the air. I could never understand that. Stupid movie, but nonetheless did very well. A couple of years later, what does he do? He does the movie with Jamie Lee Curtis. I just saw it recently called Perfect.
Okay.
About he's a Rolling Stone writer. Yeah. By the way, who was out? Lorraine Newman was in that movie. Did you know that?
From SNL fame.
She played this kind of like insecure person that wanted to be perfect and hated the fact that her gorgeous Mary Lou Henner. Oh, what was her name from Taxi?
Mary Lou Henner.
I get her mixed up with the gymnast.
But he did come back with Urban Cowboy.
Yeah, Urban Cowboy was before Perfect. So he does Perfect, and then you don't see him for a while, and then you see him in Look Who's Talking 1 and Look Who's Talking 2.
Back up.
Staying
Alive is the follow-up to Saturday Night
right.
Fever.
You're absolutely right. Yes, I'm sorry.
Not good.
Not yet. Oh, awful. And of course, the girl from General Hospital, who's still on General Hospital. She was never in any of the movie before that. And she's the bitchy. She was the dancer that didn't want anything to do with Tony Manero. And she was looking in the mirrors. What do you want with me? I just want to look at you, put your makeup on. I was like, this isn't working, dude. By the way, Sylvester Stallone directed that. He was also in it for a cameo. So anyway, he does the movies with Kirstie Alley. Look Who's Talking 1, Look Who's Talking 2.
And 3.
I didn't even know that.
Because then the dogs and cats talk.
Oh, God. I
think so, right?
Yeah, you're probably right. So, but then finally, in 1994? Is that when
93?
93 comes out. All of a sudden, people look at John Travolta like, oh my God, he's a badass. Long hair, he's got the mullet going on there, the greasy hair. He and Samuel L. Jackson made a pretty tough tandem. They were tough guys. He did a good job with that. Did you like it or what?
Oh, that's one of the best films
One of the best
time.
films. Okay, so let's cover the bases here. We talked about Saturday Night Live, one of the best movies.
Yeah.
Obviously, we jumped a couple of decades over to the early 90s for a Pulp Fiction. What is your quintessential favorite 80s movie? I'll start right now, and I'll say Officer and a Gentleman, my favorite 80s movie, Terms of Endearment, and I got to go on a limb. I know you and Oz are on the same page here. First Blood is arguably one of the best action movies of all time.
See, I'm totally on a different scale from you, and I wasn't prepared to make a list.
Go for it. You know that.
But I am a teenager in the 80s, where you're a young 20-something guy.
I'm gonna object to that first of all. One, you are older than your age. You are particularly because, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. So was I.
I'm still 15, dude.
I was well, to some degree, you still are. You're always gonna be. But no, here's the reason. I'm 10 years younger than my oldest brother, and everyone was clustered in the first 5 years. My parents stopped having babies, and then 5 years later they had me. So I was the only child of five, as I always say that, because I felt like I was out of the picture when everyone else was an adult. But in the process, I learned what they liked. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones. So they were 10 years ahead of me, and so I was into that. In your case, you didn't have, you have an older sister, is that correct?
No, I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. But your father and your mother were essentially acting like your older brother and sister. You got into what they got into. Is that correct?
Yes.
You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
I don't see it that way, but but now you made the point, and I do. I stole my dad's records. I listened to The Doors and CCR. Yeah, I got hit with that stuff.
Thank God,
my list is, because I feel like I was a teenager in the 80s and I was growing up, so my top movies of the 80s are totally different than yours.
Don't say Pretty in Pink, please.
No, but I'm going to go The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I would say okay.
I'm going to go with Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay, I'm there with you too. Okay,
I'm going to go.
I'm not going to say Breakfast Club, but it's a good movie.
Rocky IV.
Rocky IV, come on.
One of the best. Roadhouse, 1989 gets in there.
Okay, so I'm with you in Roadhouse.
I like cheesy movies of the 80s.
Rocky 3. Are you serious about Rocky? Are you serious about Rocky 4?
Yes, with Drago.
He
Amazing.
If he dies,
the
he dies.
Yes.
They're driving Mercedes Benz in Eastern Bloc Europe. It doesn't make any sense. But Rocky 3 wasn't one of you. I mean, let's face it.
It was great. It was Rocky V with John Wayne's grandson.
Yeah, who died of AIDS.
Everybody hates that movie, but it's a Rocky movie. It's still a Rocky movie.
What about Balboa? What about Rocky Balboa?
I love Balboa. I thought. Okay, so great.
Obviously, let me just look at the camera and say it didn't matter. As bad as Rocky Balboa was, one of the worst movies I have ever seen. It didn't matter because you were so enamored with Sylvester Stallone. Well, you should, because you were a big fan of the character of Rocky Balboa, of Sylvester Stallone. So you were blinded by the fact that those movies were that
true.
bad.
I didn't like Rambo 3.
I never saw Rambo 3. And the second one was awful.
He goes to Afghanistan.
Yeah. Oh, does he go to Afghanistan?
The Rocky movies are great.
Yeah. Wouldn't you?
What didn't you like about Balboa? That was great. He's back to his, He goes back to San Francisco. He goes back to Philadelphia. He was living there for 10 years now.
In 10 years. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And he's still here, but just bear in mind, in the third one, he was like the best looking boxer in the world. He had the red, white, and blue shorts. He lived out in California. He had he had no body fat. And then Rocky Balboa, he's right back to where he was in Philadelphia in 1977.
Right.
I mean, come on. I mean, he's got the derby. He's
starting over again.
He's bouncing the ball.
Do you know the turtles in Rocky?
Yeah.
Cuff and Link are still alive.
Are they really?
Yes. He still has them.
Make great soup.
They're okay. So Rocky came out in '76. Do the math. Those turtles are still alive.
They're still alive. Yeah,
40 plus years.
Yeah. Some famous monkey just died recently that was in a lot of movies. I forget who it was. And no, it wasn't Don Knotts. Anyway, his name was Bobo. By the way, were you a Don Knotts fan back in the day?
Sure.
Yeah. Did you like
Furley was the best.
Three's Company. Okay. Did you like the Ropers?
Oh, I'm going Furley all the way.
Are you going Furley all the way?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, so let's stick.
The guy could crack you up entering a room.
Yeah. So, well, Andy, remember those commercials they did down in South Jeff Motors years ago?
You couldn't do Three's Company today because they think Jack is gay.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't do The Odd Couple now too, or Love Sydney, or any of that stuff. Actually, you could do The Odd Couple. They just came out with it. By the way, are you excited about the new Friends reunion? And did you happen to see the interviews recently?
I have not.
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
You don't care. Okay, so
no,
let's just spill the bean. Well, I was never a Friends fan, but when I see them, they are pretty fun. They're a pretty funny show. Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't like sometimes I don't like shows because I don't like the people that like them. And that's why I was never a Bruce Springsteen fan. I don't know what it is, but there's something to be said about Bruce Springsteen. As good as Bruce Springsteen is, I couldn't stand Bruce Springsteen because I couldn't stand Bruce Springsteen fans. Yourself? You're a fan?
A Springsteen?
Yeah.
All the way.
Okay, but do you understand
Huge.
what I'm saying? Are Springsteen fans a little bit obsessive about the guy, or you know?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
if you're going to be obsessive about someone,
The
you know.
guy could take a shit on a record and say, oh my God, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Hey, little girl, is your daddy home?
Well, there was a comedian who used to do a bit. It's like, Jesus, Springsteen's talking about just his day. Well, I woke up this morning and I got a cup of coffee. Then I got the man.
Yes. So profound. God, Bruce. Come on.
Now, see him in concert and your mind will be changed. That's all I can say.
I don't know if yeah, it's true because I was never a big John. I saw John Cougar before he was John Mellencamp, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. I'm going to see a John Cougar concert in Hartford, Connecticut, and to this day, it's still one of the best concerts I've ever seen. Did you ever see?
You and I were going to go
Yeah.
to see Mellencamp.
And he got canceled or something.
No,
What happened?
you, my ex-wife,
Yeah.
Les Shockley, and me,
Yeah.
got into, I think, my Dodge Spirit,
Right. Yeah.
and we're going to go to Turning Stone.
That wasn't that long ago then.
This is in the early 2000s.
Okay.
To go see John Mellencamp.
And didn't we find out when we were in Face Plaza that
Yes.
it was canceled? It
No,
was the wrong
I got
day?
the wrong date. It was the day before. I totally missed it.
Wow, good thing we didn't go down.
So you were happy because you always have 8 pots on the fire. Like, okay, good. I can go see Bobby Ferris or do something you'd always do.
You know, I probably didn't care. Just like I was in New York and someone gave me Bruce Springsteen concert tickets at the Giant Stadium. And all of a sudden, this big cloud came over the Tri-City area. I was in a bus in Manhattan, and they said, oh, the concert was canceled. And everyone, and I was like, whoa, yeah, I can go home. Yeah.
Come on, let's go kick his ass. So Les and I and Jill, my first ex-wife there, we went to Syracuse at the mall and watched American Pie 2.
Did you really? Wow, American Pie 2.
That's how long ago that was. So that was 2000 at least.
Well, okay. Well, then in 2001, if I'm not mistaken, we all went to see U2 in Albany,
Correct.
At the Pepsi Center.
Pepsi Arena at the time. I don't know what it's called now. It used to be called the old Knickerbocker.
And we got up so close to the band that we scared them off the stage. But we did. We were like right there in the front.
Yeah.
We got there early. It was standing room only.
We took a limo.
We took a limo without a
Aaron-
muffler or something.
Aaron's luxury limousine.
Was that Aaron's luxury?
Yes.
And he was a good guy. He hung out. I wish he could get into the concert, but I felt bad. But nonetheless, that was a big event for us to go to that.
We've had a lot of great bonding.
We most certainly did, and we still do. I mean, I
Yeah.
know you're saying, like, again, times, we're still young. Don't tell me you're old.
No,
don't be Ed Wendell, who said, "Oh God, I have to wear glasses." At 50 years old, he's like, "I got to do this, I got to do that." I said, "Come on, dude, come on. You got another 30 years to live, hopefully, and live wisely."
I'm
and so forth.
inspired by old people, and I work with them every day.
Especially now, yeah.
And we have residents who are 99 years old
God bless.
and living great lives, and that is the secret, I believe, and I see it every day.
Right.
Is doing something. Do not sit and watch 18 hours of television.
Right.
Get out there and do things, and,
Right.
and these seniors do, and they're very blessed to have that opportunity.
Yeah.
I know some people can't, but
Right.
we went to Wellesley Island today to the boat museum.
Did you really?
And then we went to lunch. We had to shuttle, and I took them to the Harbor Hotel. And some of them went to Bella's for lunch.
Nice.
It's a great day.
So let me ask the question.
Yeah.
If you're there in Clayton, wait a minute, the boat museum's in Clayton or Wellesley
Island.
Wellesley Island. I didn't know there was a museum in Wellesley.
Yeah, Bolt has a small one there
Oh, nice.
with some, and then they can shuttle you right to the Bolt Castle right across the way.
I gotta ask the question. I mean, these are adults that can get around without
Sure.
assistance.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna lose them. No one's
Right.
no one's gonna walk on the river. or
Anybody
anything
seen
like that.
Marty? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's amazing. So obviously, older people from another generation. I mean, the baby boomers, and a lot of them are baby boomers now because we're in that time period. Baby boomers were born in the mid 40s. Do you have people in their 70s that are at the place right now?
Very few. It's
Very-
mostly 80s
and above.
90s. Yeah.
So, what do you find when you speak to people of that age? What do they mention? I mean, they're still cognitively, they're aware of their surroundings. and I don't want to get into politics, and I know you don't want to either. But are they worried about what we're talking about these days, or what? Or does that come up in
It
conversation?
never comes up in conversation.
Good. Well, actually, you know what?
What comes up for
That's
conversation?
actually good.
What's for dinner?
Yeah,
Did
really.
you like the fish last night?
Right.
It was a little dry.
But do you get the chance to talk about music and movies and what what
Well,
type of conversations do you have?
A great friend. I have become friends with them, and great friends. I love them, and I became friends with a guy named Gene from Long Island, and then Gene and I talked about the. I mean, there's a 40-year difference between Gene and I. Gene is 90. And we started talking about stupid things we did as kids. He goes, yes, I used to make prank phone calls all the time. I'm like, well, what'd you do? He goes, well, we'd look in the phone book and we'd look under anybody with a last name Dunn. and then we'd give him a call and we'd say, are you done? And the guy would say, yeah, I'm done. And then he'd go, well, you better go wipe.
Oh, isn't that funny?
Yeah, well, that's
harmless fun.
Yeah, Gene made pranks in the 1940s.
Right.
And this guy's been retired half his life. I envy these people so much.
He was what is he, school teacher or something?
I
or
worked for the post office.
He's been retired now for what, 35,
Since
40
like
years.
1987.
Isn't that amazing how that? And again, I envy people like that. I'm not. I don't want to get into the point of resenting people who are able to retire early, because it's not a bad idea, because you live once. And things do start to go on you. And I know at 58 years old, losing my appendix, pain sucks and stiffness sucks. So keeping active is most important. So
Yeah.
how do people stay active in the home?
We have a lot of activities. We play, let's see here. We do bocce ball.
Right.
We do this little thing I saw on the internet. I bought these great big bouncy balls that people sit on, and I got some drumsticks at Dr. Guitar, and we drum on the balls like we're rock stars.
Right.
It's a great workout.
Yeah.
They have yoga and silver sneakers workouts. There's so many activities there. It's not just bingo all the
Right.
time.
No, I know.
You know, it's
Do they have Wii? You know,
Oh,
the
yeah,
Wii
we do
games
Wii
where
bowling,
they
yeah.
go Wii bowling. So I've seen that before. And of course, my
cornhole.
mom,
Is the biggest thing.
Can they play cornhole inside?
Yeah, we play cornhole inside.
Good.
Jeff Shannon there on what's that, West Main Street location.
KLM.
Yeah. What a great business. What
Yeah,
a great guy. He donated 2 cornhole boards to us.
I saw that.
And they just absolutely love it. We play Mondays and Fridays, and we have you give them team names. And
Yeah.
they love that. And
Right. What, the Jets and the Sharks?
we have the Outsiders,
Right.
the Mean Betties,
Right. Right.
the Mary Janes.
Yeah. The Mary, yeah.
They don't know what Mary Jane is.
Right,
but,
yeah.
you know.
So you that's funny how you add that
Yeah,
a little
of
bit of
course.
flair of your own. Yeah,
You know how I roll.
It's the spliffs against the joints. You know?
You know how I roll.
Well, that's cool, man. That's really cool. I'm glad you're involved in that. My brother has been working in the senior business for at least 30 years now, and it changed his life. He is an entertainer. Do they have people that come in and perform for them and sing and so forth locally?
Yeah, we just had this guy from Lowville, Rob Hershey is his name, and he played, all their tunes. They absolutely love him. You Are My Sunshine.
I know.
I got to get Mike White's number from you here. I want to get him. They love him still.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, it's like, oh Charlie, you're the best impersonator of Mike White on the planet, right?
I
there.
learned it from you, man. I learned it watching you.
Yeah, well, who could ever forget? Of course, that there's a little bit of Mike White every day when Lefty calls in on the local TV or radio shows. Because what does he say at the end of every conversation?
By now, don't you know?
Don't you know? And he was.
Is that what Mike would say?
That's where we got it from. He got it from Mike. Yeah.
Holy smokes! Baked beans, good gravy.
Oh my goodness
I've lived in northern New York all my life and talk from Texas.
Here comes Kimmy. Oh, Kimmy's gonna bring the beans. Oh, we got to get those beans.
Mike White teaching line dancing at the Mansville Fire Hall Friday nights.
Yeah. One-legged man teaching line dancing. Of course, we love Mike, and he's
do.
full of life. And there's a guy that's going to live forever. Really, I mean, every time
He's
I see him,
looked the
he
same
hasn't changed a bit.
He's looked the same since '77.
And remember, his father lived until like 99 or something. And Rishel was his
Rick,
name. Rick.
yeah.
Well, they call him Rick, but his real, whatever. Rick White from West Virginia. Hey, partner. Hey, how's it going there, partner? Oh, yeah. Look out around here. We got those white snakes. Oh, looking good, partner. That was old school. Old school is exactly what you see every day. Of course, it's in the form of elderly people that are at the latter part of their lives. But that's worth its weight in gold right there, my friend.
So To interrupt the conversation,
Yeah.
little Q is sitting on a park bench.
And he's watching this show.
Is he watching as we speak?
Because he subscribes to. I'm surprised he hasn't texted me. He will in about 30 seconds.
Is there a delay?
There is a delay.
Okay.
There is a delay. So
Hey, Brandon.
Just wave to him. Are you waving to him?
No,
we can't see him from this angle, of course, but he's way, way over there.
So as you exit the building, he'll be right there?
No, he knows everybody.
Yeah.
And, he's put on some pounds. He's not the skinny kid that we knew back in the day.
None of us are.
Yeah, and by the way, earlier today, and hopefully my wife's not watching. There's hairdressers downstairs, and I'm looking for someone to be like a spokesperson for the River show that I'm doing. And I see this beautiful woman that I've never seen. Apparently, she's been working downstairs in the salon. And I said, "Would you like to be in a video?" That's not a thing to ask in these days. She probably thought I was a creep, but she didn't express any interest whatsoever. But nonetheless, I should have had Q going. I don't call him Q anymore.
No, I heard your show. Yeah, you called him Brandon. I'm like, yo, you don't call him little Q anymore. He doesn't like that.
He doesn't like that. He doesn't like it. He loves attention, and yet he doesn't love attention. And he's the kind of guy that will call you 5 times on the phone, and you think, wow, the radio station's on fire, or something's wrong here. And then you pick up the phone and say, yeah, Q, what's up? Hey, how's it going? It's like, you just called me 5 times. Now you're going to act very casual about things. So Q's a character. But we've had a lot of characters on Public Square over the years. Who could forget Steve Washer? Is he
he's still around?
Is
yeah.
he still around? Yeah. See,
yeah.
But there were others. There was a guy that ran a tricycle years ago. He died in an auto crash when he was run over. Remember him? Black guy in a tricycle. Back in the early 90s.
Well, is that the guy who used to wear like white?
No, that was a different guy.
Okay.
Yeah. This guy, he was, there was something, he had challenges.
I make up names for them all, and I feel bad. That's like one of the reasons why my ex left me. She's like, you yell out at people because you see them all the time, so you make up little nicknames about them.
Like who?
Tuna.
Oh, Tuna.
Tuna's a guy.
Right.
I made a nickname for him. Yeah, he walks the streets. He's got white hair. Why do you call him Tuna? I'm like, well, he just kind of looks stale, so that's why I call him Tuna. And and at the time I drove the Dodge Challenger, my dream car,
I love that car.
which I had to sell.
Yeah.
And then he must have felt like he knew me because he's like, hey,
Yeah.
He'd point to me like, hey, you're
right.
acknowowing me.
Yeah, right.
He sits on his porch, and I'll just drive by and yell, hey, Tuna, and it's nothing. I'm not. Mean.
It's funny because there was
things to him. I just wave to him and call him Tuna.
There was a guy.
He responds.
There was a guy that was around here years ago. His name was Tuna. He was a good golfer, but I forget his real name. But Tuna's not the only nickname certainly out there. All right, so talking about pop culture, music-wise, and so forth.
No, go back to I want to make You're the creative guy here.
Yeah.
I want to make a bingo game out of all the characters you see around Public Square. Center Square could be the guy who wears the winter coat in the summer on his bicycle.
Right.
That could be Center Square.
Yeah, who wears the seersucker jacket
and the work boots
in the work boots.
Yeah,
I think he's from. You know what? I think he's from Brownville.
He is, and he rides his bike.
Yeah, right. And that's right. You used to live in Brownville.
Yeah.
By the way, the pizzeria in Brownville is it good, bad, and different?
I lived above the pizza place in Brownville when I got divorced.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
And why don't they advertise or anything? I passed by.
They don't need to.
So they just cater to the surrounding
Brownville
area.
Dexter, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Nana Diaz.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Say that again?
Nana Diaz, owned by Italians.
The real deal.
The real McCoy.
Yes, the Stefano and Carthage, they're the real deal too. OIP, I think, is excellent. And of course, right across the street, Cam's New York Pizzeria, I think is very good.
Well, pizza to me is like sex.
Why is that?
Even if it's bad.
Yeah.
You're still eating pizza.
Yeah.
Even if it's bad, you're still having sex.
Right.
Yeah,
and you know what? You can eat it cold the next day. It really wasn't
and
matter.
I can buy that 99-cent microwavable pizza at PNC, and it's still pizza.
Well, I said that on Facebook about a year or so ago. I have yet to find, other than the veggie pizzas where there's no meat on it and it's just kind of like just a bunch of dough, 9 out of 10 pizzas that you get for like $4 from the frozen section are all excellent. There's no such thing as bad pizza anymore.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. And why should it? It's the easiest thing to make. It's dough, cheese, Oil, sauce, a little bit of oregano, blah, 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 seasoning and so forth. You can't screw that up. But for years, we had it in high school, and they always cut it up into square pieces. And I always hated that, and it tasted awful. All right, so
What are we going to talk about?
we talked about the. I know. Well, let's talk about Bill Baker. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
You get on the air. It's like, what are we going to talk about? Like, nothing. Let's just go.
All right. So, again, we talked, because we're so good at, of course, the movies and whatnot. Anything beyond 1989, with a few exceptions, I just can't get into movies. And I really can't. The Oscars came out a couple of months ago. I had no clue of any of those movies. And there's 8 movies that were nominated for Best Picture. Nomadland, never heard of it before. And I know it's COVID and people weren't able to see movies and so forth. I get that and whatnot. But I just don't give a shit anymore, Johnny. It's just that's the way it is.
You have the Netflix and the Hulu?
I did. I got rid of I have Hulu and I don't subscribe. I see those ads all the time for Adie Bryant, and she's flying around. She's the obligatory fat girl of our society and whatnot. I'm just not turned on by it. I don't know what it is. There's nothing funny anymore. Chelsea Handler. Chelsea Handler is doing The Syndicate now. She's going from talk show to talk show to talk show. Johnny, I don't get it. Do you know her? I'm sure you do.
I know who she is.
She just looks like she just woke up out of bed. And
refer to her like Kathy Gifford or whatever.
Kathy Griffin.
Griffin. I have no use for Kathy Gifford either.
So it comes down to this: why is it that society feels so compelled to put women in comedy status or on whatever when they don't deserve it? Is it because they're pretty? Is it because they talk about having sex with black guys with big cocks? What is the big deal? I'm sorry, we're on internet. We could talk about that stuff. And if you know Chelsea Handler, like anybody,
I've never said
you know
that
that's
word.
what she talks about.
I never said that word on a microphone.
You never said the word cocks?
Cocks.
Well, what was it? George Carlin would say, and the cock crowed 4 times. It's in the Bible. We used to make jokes about that, of course. But again, I just find that comedy today, and we've talked about this before, isn't what it was when you and I were growing up. Am I right?
You are right.
Or do we go back to a stand-up routine from
last great comic was Mitch Hedberg.
Who the hell was Mitch Hedberg?
He died of a heroin overdose. See, if you die and you're a comedian, then you become very famous after, like a Bill Hicks or Mitch Hedberg.
Or like Greg Giraldo.
Yeah.
Greg Giraldo was really funny in the roast and so forth. Okay, so let me go back to the 80s. 1987. And I just found this out, if this would really enthrall you. You might know this, but I doubt you do. Dirty Dancing comes out in 1987. Okay, we know Pat Swayze, we know Jennifer Grey, we know Jerry Orbach, and so forth. We know all these other Jack Weston, who played the Mr. Kellerman. But did you know that Robbie was the good-looking waiter that got Penny pregnant?
Right.
And she was trying to pick up everybody because that was his personality.
Yeah.
Good-looking guy. He had the book, something of the fall. Whatever he had in his hand, he was reading it, but he was a real jerk. And then Jerry Orbach gives him money to go to college. He says, "Well, thank you for handling that penny thing. You know how girls are." He goes, "What?" And he takes the money right out of his. So I'm wondering, whatever happened to Robbie? So I look him up on IMDb to see what other movies. He died of a drug overdose in 1992. Can you believe that?
Skip Stevenson died of a heart attack we never knew.
Skip Steve, who the hell was Skip Steve? Was he the guy from Real People? Or is that the same guy? Yeah. Oh my God, he died of a heart attack.
Yeah,
and Shirley Hemphill was in. That was one of Jill's favorite shows, right? I mean,
What's Happening?
What's Happening? Shirley Hemphill played Shirley, the waitress.
A horrible actress.
A terrible actress. Worse than Dee. And Dee was one of the worst actresses ever.
Horrible show.
It's a horrible show. We watched it every day. Hey, Raj! It was a terrible show. But, Shirley Hemphill got her own TV show. It was called 1 in a Million. It lasted for about 3 weeks. But think of it. ABC gave her a TV show. About 2-3 years later, she died and no one knew it. She was in her apartment for like a week before they found her dead body. Isn't that awful? That's a terrible thing. And by the way, for the record, I thought she was very good. I thought she was very funny.
What did they do to the cast in that show? Oh, we got a funny guy who dances on Soul Train. Let's get him to be rerun.
Is that how he got his start?
He was on Soul Train.
Was he
popping and locking? They called the dancing.
Right.
The fat guy dancing.
They called it the robot dance or something. The way he did it. And
rerun.
He wore kind of like the. Of course, if we saw a rerun today, we'd say he's gay because we're in a
rainbow suspenders. Yeah. Well, we'd say the same thing about Mork.
Exactly. Right. Robin Williams overrated. Do you agree with that?
No.
Okay, why do you say that? Go ahead. Go. I mean, okay, let me just explain. Talented, yes. When he acted, when he had to be a serious actor, like when he played the doctor with De Niro, and
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting was good, but he also played Sleepers, wasn't it? Whatever it was, he was in some movie. So he was capable of being a serious actor. He did the Photoshop guy, whatever. But when he was on talk shows, I don't know who's worse. Is it Jim Carrey or is it Robin Williams? They just loved attention and they would never shut the hell up.
Would the worst seeing Robin Williams when they did the comedy for Hunger. You know, they all had the greatest comedians on HBO specials.
With Whoopi Goldberg and
Billy Crystal hosted it.
Right.
And you couldn't get him to shut up. He would just be nonstop and it wasn't funny. And
well, and I think it was
Comic relief.
Comic relief, yeah, comic relief. You're absolutely right. And then, of course, Saturday Night Live had a 25-year anniversary. Let's do the math. That was in 2000, and Robin Williams wasn't a big part of Saturday Night Live. In fact, I don't even know if he ever hosted it. But at one point, they needed a filler to go from one scene to the other, so they got Robin Williams to come out of the crowd and do a stand-up routine. Do you remember that? And it was so awkward.
No.
But again, that was another moment where here it was. Saturday Night Live was supposed to be shining, and sure enough, Robin Williams takes over, and he just couldn't get enough attention. Then he gets the TV show called The Crazy Ones, which was
Sarah
on for
Gellar, that was on one season.
On one season, and they found out then that he did have issues. He couldn't remember his lines. He didn't get along with the younger actors and so forth. And then, of course, he takes his life. And, you're moving on me, so I got to move with you.
I apologize for that,
okay,
but I have no ass in your seats.
Those seats are not very comfortable. I got to change that. You're absolutely right. So anyway, Robin Williams, God rest his soul. He shouldn't have committed suicide. It was awful. He had a horrible relationship. His wife didn't even know he was dead until like the next afternoon. It was a very sad ending. But there's a lot of people out there, Johnny, that no matter how successful they were, they're just not happy. What's the deal? Do you see that with the elderly people? Don't they love being still alive and happy and so forth?
Yeah. I don't have an answer for you, and I don't want to say anything I don't know about.
Right.
Some people say it's a disease. Some people, you're so selfish. You got to be in that person's shoes to know what's going on.
I agree with you.
We have
and he did have some issues with his cognitive. I understand. That's very sad.
And you think of I'm a fat guy. We'll be a former fat guy again here soon. But
are you going to lose weight?
Yeah, I'll be doing that. But fat people are always telling jokes. They're always the funny guy at a party. But they're real. It's the same thing. You wear your feelings on your sleeve. To get your mind off other issues, but you don't know what people are going through. You don't know the shit they're going through. So
good point.
I used to think that way with suicide. It's just like, how could you? How selfish?
Right.
You just don't know
right.
what people are going through and the pain that they have. And it's the only answer to get away from the shit life we have sometimes. I've been through it. I will tell you this. I'm sure you have with depression and everything.
Yeah.
So it's to me, I don't really like to joke about it.
No, well, that's very good. It's very commendable. And by the way, and we're both big fans. I'm going to assume you're a big fan of John Candy. He hated it when people would just assume that he would be okay with them asking about his weight because he was the fat, funny guy and whatnot. But that really got to him. So it
gets to me, and that's why I'm going to be doing something about it for the millionth time. But this one is really
well. For the record, honestly, man, I never looked at you as a fat guy.
I appreciate that,
and I'll tell you why. Because you're 6'6", and your personality was always this.
Oh,
you were
I fucking love this show.
Yeah, no. I know what you're saying because big people are big from the beginning. And there's a lot of people these days, unfortunately. Look, I was always skinny, and I shouldn't be 200 pounds. There's a lot of people that should be about 160 that are 280 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't know how they get out of bed, to tell you the truth.
What gets it to me is, yes, I am tall, and I'm thankful for that, because if I was short, I'd be really fat.
But your parents were all tall. Yeah.
But what I hate, and when I hear this word, a lot of people, hey, big guy.
Yeah.
I don't associate that with being tall.
Yeah.
I associate that with being fat.
Okay.
So that's me. You can tell me, you can change me. You can't change my mind. It's just like, big.
Right.
I deal with that as fat.
Right.
You don't call me tall guy.
Women hate big girl too. Oh,
Yeah.
you're big. Oh, don't ever say that to a woman.
You never say that.
Yeah, I have, and I paid for it. No, but a lot of times I'll look at a woman as a big woman who's just healthy. Big boobs, whatever. So,
I like that.
I do too. There's something about bony girls that just get so much attention. I think it's very unhealthy. So anyway, that's all right. So let's get off the beaten path because
let's talk about commercials on television nowadays. There's one for New York State.
Yeah,
and they're talking about, did you get the COVID vaccination?
On the
stoops,
the bullhorn?
No. There's a black guy on his front porch and a white guy, and it's free.
Oh,
and
I
then
have seen
all
that.
of a sudden Latinos walk by,
Yeah.
and then a gay couple walks by.
Right.
This is like, can you be more?
And
this is commercials.
Cross-section of every society
Every
in one 30
commercial
second
is
commercial.
like this now.
Right, exactly.
And I'm sure, I have no problem. I just noticed it more than I don't care.
Right.
But You know, I mean, there's
You see mixed race relationships in a lot of commercials.
big time now.
A lot. And a lot of gay commercials, too.
Yeah, there's one who needs this medication so he can breathe, and he's walking around and he's kicking a softball. Then he goes to a rummage sale. Then he's playing hopscotch.
Right.
And then his gay partner yells, "Oh, grab this lunch for the girl on the bus." You know?
Right. Yeah.
It's like
it's we're being force fed what we're supposed to be thinking. So let me ask the question: what are your thoughts about vaccinations? Do you think it's good, bad, and different? Have you gotten it?
someone made a good point on Facebook the other day. It really made me think
Yeah.
about that. It's just like, we've been trying to have a cure for cancer for 50 years.
Right.
The common cold, we've been trying to have a cure for the common cold
Right.
since eternity. So all of a sudden, within a year, we have a vaccination that cures coronavirus.
Right, and then people aren't taking it.
Yeah.
It is weird because I guess of the nature of the man-made aspect of the virus itself, and then that therefore the vaccination must be weird too. Not that cancer is a picnic, but a lot of questions. That's for sure, because we have so much doubt in our heads in the last year and a half. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there's a lot of doubt in my mind these days. But it's just a new world. Who would ever think that we would be in a situation like this, knowing what you know now, what we've all experienced in the last year plus? Because you and I are creatures of the 20th century. We are products of pop culture in its best time. We have a fortunate time of saying this. Your parents did too. So when you grew up listening to their stuff in the 70s as a young kid, then as a teenager in the 80s and 90s, then things started to
I'm
dissipate.
so thankful I grew up in the time I did too.
Yeah, I know you are.
Dad would make us watch Soul Train, and
Good stuff.
I'm so blessed.
Yeah.
That we did and watch Dick Clark, and I think that'd be one
Don
of the.
Cornelius, by the way, committed suicide, just for the record.
Oh,
just
he
to
had
let
like terrible head
right.
problems or something.
Yeah,
like migraine.
Awful. Good guy.
Yeah, I think that would be the cure for music today. People aren't buying music as much; they're stealing it. But you don't know who these bands. If they're a rock band, you don't know who. Back in our day, I could tell you the bass player of Van Halen. I could tell you the bass player of the Scorpions or whatever band like that. You know, you just knew the bands because you bought the magazines, you saw them on television.
Right.
And now you don't see that anymore. You have
Right.
no idea what these even bands look like. Bring back shows like Soul Train, and bring back somebody. I would probably be unfortunately be Seacrest hosting it or something like that. But bring back a dance show like they did in the 70s. Solid Gold, counting down the charts.
Right.
We had all that stuff.
Right.
And that's what made music popular, in my opinion. We had the magazines.
And of course, today, can you dance to rap? Can you dance to the hip hop that's out there?
Oh, they
right now?
do.
Yeah, they do. But could that be a family homespun show with Don Cornelius, or would it be like a barbecue with a bunch of guys with knives and guns? I mean, I hate to say that because again, here it is. The State Fair is going to open up the concert series down in Solvay in late August, the hottest month of the year, and their first concert in the grandstands, which holds like 25,000 people, is a free concert and it's a rap concert. Would you want to be a cop at that event, Keegan, or what?
Can't say that.
Yeah,
No.
well, I know.
Can't say I would.
Again, this is coming from me. We're on the internet. We're not on broadcast. I'm just speaking about this because when you read headlines about things, that incidents that happen, a lot of times they happen at night at rap concerts. So again, Don Cornelius, did anyone get shot shooting an episode?
Well, the music was different. I mean, it was, ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. But today it's just like, fucking the hoe.
Right. Yeah.
Or shooting,
or twerking. Yeah,
That's
and
what
Drake, who was
that's
a rich
what
guy, rich Arab, talking about being, in the hood.
I ask my African American friends, I'm like, you love the music from this? Yeah. But you also like Kanye? Yeah, I love what he's saying. I'm like, how can you tell what he's saying?
It's impossible.
Can we please
Kanye
return
West is a joke. He really is.
African American artists? Give me great music like Marvin Gaye, Smokey Robinson,
Teddy Pendergrass.
The
OJs.
Give me the music where people can actually sing.
Yeah. Al Green.
Yeah.
Who was the guy? Oh, there was so many of them.
I'm so tired of being alone.
Just unbelievable.
Love that music.
And yet now when they die,
Could it be I'm falling in love with you, baby?
could it be I'm falling in love with you?
Yes. Great music.
And then the orchestration behind it.
Yes.
And these guys went to, the LA orchestra would go to the, to the studio and lay down tracks for these guys. You don't see that shit anymore.
no.
And yet now,
And then now it's like 14 people to make a rap song, and like that they just it takes
right.
14 people to write that.
don't
Who
get
runs the world, girls? Who runs the world, girls? Beyonce, that song took 14 people to write.
Did it really?
And that's all they're saying. Who runs the world, girls? Who runs the world, girls? And 14 people to write.
did it have a hook to it? I mean,
It's god awful.
I mean, I other than the song that she sang, what, 10, 12 years
I'm
ago?
an open-minded
all the
guy.
single girls, all the single girls. I remember that because I remember songs with hooks, with melody. That's what makes a song that you still
Correct.
sing from the 60s, 50s for that matter, or
You're
40s
right.
for that matter. And they impregnate this impression in your brain that will last forever. Will we be singing a Kanye West song
No.
20 years from now, Keegan?
No.
That's not going to happen.
And that's why I tell bride and grooms, like, oh, I just love this song on the radio right now. I'm like, don't pick it for your wedding song.
Right.
You're going to forget about it in a year. You pick a classic.
Well, give me an example. I know it's tough. Oh God, yeah. Well, that's an old song, though.
Yeah, it's what I'm telling them, because that song will never go away.
Oh, I see. That's what you're suggesting.
I'm saying
that they
don't go
sing.
with anything current, or don't go with that new country song, because it's
Right.
going to be forgotten in years.
Right. Good for you, my friend.
trying.
No, well, let me ask the question. Did they take your advice and do that, or what? Some of them do, I'm sure.
What they do nowadays is like, I heard the song on YouTube,
Yeah.
and it's by Gary Smith, and it's called it's called Love of My Life.
Right.
That's what they do nowadays.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, I don't know who Gary Smith is. I'm like, you have to send me the YouTube link. You know,
Yeah,
That's-
right. Well, and
or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And you know, Jim Levin and a lot of guys, their argument is as well, you know, people appreciate the music from their time. They relate to it more. So that's fine and dandy. And I get that. Don't get me wrong. But still, history will tell you that all you got to do is just turn on music from a time when you weren't born, when your parents might not have been born, depending on how old you are, and listen to music the way it was. A lot of times I'm inspired because I hear a lot of kids, particularly musicians, that play music from our era and before that. That's a good sign.
And this is a testament of older music. I can pick out a 10-year-old right off here at Public Square,
Right.
and I can play "Don't Stop Believing."
Yeah, and
then
they would know it.
They would know that.
Yeah, or they would
Or
know,
Bohemian Rhapsody.
or a Beatles song.
yeah.
By
That
the way,
stuff.
speaking of Bohemian Rhapsody, we might have brought this up in the last show, and I'm sorry if we did. The movie sucked. Your idea of Bohemian Rhapsody, as he vapes.
I like it.
Did you really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you get a chance, and
I liked it a lot.
Did I tell you this last time?
But I heard the Elton John one was so bad that I didn't want.
Rocket
watch.
Man was
Yeah,
so
I
bad.
heard
Okay,
it was
gotcha.
horrible.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I'm sure it is. But if you ever get a chance, if you ever watch the Reels Network, and there's other networks that
Yeah.
show, but there's the Great Pretender. It's a 2-hour documentary about Freddie Mercury, and the guy that they got to play Freddie Mercury. And I'm not kidding you. This when I say this, it's almost as if they dug Freddie Mercury out of the fucking grave, because this guy was that good. He was so good. It was a docudrama, so it had narrative. It talked about headlines and when he got AIDS in the early 90s and when he died in London in 93.
Reels is the station
Really
that's like,
good.
what killed Jim Morrison?
Yeah,
really?
right.
And then they have a-
Autopsy.
Yeah, okay. I do watch that once in a while.
Yeah. And it's funny because, you know, they also have one for Marvin Gaye. It's Autopsy. Next one, Marvin. It's a
His
bullet.
father shot him.
Shot him. But, you know, but I still watched it. And another thing that I watched on Reels Network, Maurice Gibb, the final days of Maurice Gibb from the Bee Gees.
I'm okay.
Yeah. Was that what it was?
No, I'm okay not knowing his final days.
Let me just tell you something, and I'm with you. Who cares about Maurice Gibb or Robin Gibb,
Yeah.
or for that matter, Andy Gibb, although I like Andy Gibb. He died at 30 years old. But everyone knows Barry Gibb, right?
Yeah.
So Maurice Gibb wasn't as attractive, neither was Robin. Staying alive. But anyway, I said the same exact thing.
Talking politics.
Tragedy. So I'm watching it, and I couldn't stop watching it. The final days of Maurice Gibb was incredible. And then following that was a 2-hour special about ABBA, where they focused on the girls and not the guys, because no one cared about the guys.
Right.
Terry Bradshaw looking guy, whatever. So it just, or the guy from this, Kenny Stabler. I always thought one of them looked like Kenny Stabler from the Oakland
last days of Maurice Gibb.
But
2 days before he died, he had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. at
No, it was.
1:30
I'm
p.m.
telling you. Yeah. Well, I could tell you one. He put a gun up to his wife. He was in a drunken fool. You know. So yeah, he had a erratic ending. Of course, alcohol and drugs.
Maurice was the balding one, right? With the beard?
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, Robin was the one that kind of had the long hair. He kind of looked like girly in a sense.
And that, like horse teeth.
Yeah, they all did in a sense. Yeah, and even Andy. And Andy, of course, Andy and Barry were the best looking. But Andy was going out with a Victoria Principal. Was that her name, from Dallas? And they introduced her together like months prior to that, and she broke up with him, and it broke his heart. Here's a guy that could have had anything, just like Pete Davidson. We could have anybody. Pete Davidson is the ugliest fucking guy on TV, and he's got a big you-know-what, and he gets to go out with everyone and anyone and so forth. But Andy Gibb basically killed himself just by drinking himself to death. The week before he died, he fell down a flight of stairs and knocked out his front 2 teeth. So there you go. Money isn't everything. Money isn't everything. What do you say about that?
What are we going to talk about today?
I know I'm rambling.
I love it.
But I love it. I love talking about the Bee Gees.
Fantastic.
This is the best time to talk about things, too, because at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about well, my phone's been buzzing, but it's nothing business and wise. So we could sit down and talk about these things. So you're working full time. You're loving life, my friend.
Yeah, life
You're
is
looking good.
It's all right.
How are you going to lose weight? How are you going to lose weight? Let me
Well,
ask you
there's a
that.
little procedure being done.
Oh, you're going to get that done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't said that to anybody, so it's an exclusive.
But you're not big enough
We
to
could
get
be.
that.
I'm big enough. We could have clickbait here.
Yeah. What's clickbait? What does that mean?
That means like a flashing on Facebook, and you see like a story like, oh boy, that does sound interesting. Where
Yeah.
Maurice Gibb explains all about his brother, and you click on it, and he's like, oh, his brother was a nice guy.
Yeah.
That's called clickbait, where you think you're going to go like, oh, get a story that's
And it's nothing.
It's nothing.
It's absolutely nothing.
And then there's like a ton of pop-up ads. That
Oh,
come-
how often do you see that? Like, they get you all the time. It's the most incredible video you'll ever see in your life. And it's fucking nothing. And then another one where they show a picture of a girl in a bikini, the crazy things that happen in the beach. And then you got to scroll through like 100 pictures to get to the one that you
the
were
real
most
story.
Yeah,
They
right.
always say that the real story of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, right. And why this person will never be in Hollywood ever again.
Yes, that's called clickbait.
Is that what it is?
That's called click. Now you've learned. I've taught you something.
Clickbait. There you go. Not to be confused with jailbait. I understand. All right, so
She said she was 15.
Yeah. Who was that from?
I don't know.
Because you know what, there was a ball player for the Yankees, Palmeiro. What was his name? He played
Rafael
for
Palmeiro.
Rafael Palmeiro. And his friend said, you know what? She did look like she was old enough. She was 15 years old. He
Okay,
picked
go
her
to
up
the
at a
Yankees
club.
is because
Yeah.
I'm a bachelor now, and I get really bored with television because
Yeah.
it really sucks. So I turn on the Yankee game pretty much every night.
Yeah.
I don't know
Nothing
any-
wrong with that.
No, but I only know Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Who are these players? Are they a team this year?
That's a tough question to ask since they've just lost 10 out of 12 games.
Yeah.
And they lost crucial games to their nemesis, the Boston Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa's going to win everything this year. They deserve it. They're the best team. It just goes to show you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a championship team. They could barely get 20,000 people in their stands.
Why
at
don't
any given
baseball
time.
players last forever like professional wrestlers? I mean, Hulk Hogan, has wrestled for 30 years.
Yeah, but every time by the way, I just saw a video. But to answer your question, the Yankees will probably come back in late August, July. They gave up a couple of players like Talkman. They sent him off to San Francisco. He's doing wonders for them. They've just been making bad decisions. But what the big thing about baseball, have you heard? Now there's yet another cheating scandal.
Oh, with the pitching?
They've been putting sticky stuff on the baseball, and one of them is Garrett Cole.
Put something on his face, right?
Yeah, so he
it
can
looked like
rub against
yeah.
his face and other. But the thing is, it's kind of an even playing field because a lot of pitchers apparently have been doing it. But that explains why the average baseball team is batting 220.
So
It's so low right now.
But I haven't watched baseball in years. I do love the sport, and I watched the 70s and 80s and 90s. I loved the Yankees. Of course, I still do, but this is my point. It's like, why can't they play for 30 years and have the
Right.
same, there's always going to be
Yeah.
Ron Guidry pitching
Right.
or Goose Gossage or Greg Nettles. And
or Jim Palmer.
yeah,
Or
but
for
the
guys
these
from
people,
the
I
other
don't
teams
know
too.
these
Yeah.
people. And
Right.
it just seems like you always knew
Right.
everything about the baseball. And I mean,
I'll tell you. Because first of all, you mentioned Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is bigger than you. He's 300 pounds. He's a muscular guy. He's kind of the Herman Munster of baseball, essentially. He's a freak of nature in terms of
bigger
his
than
size.
Aaron Judge.
And are you bigger than Aaron Judge?
Yeah.
No, in terms of height? No.
Weight.
Oh no, I doubt it. Well, okay. You're over 300 pounds.
309.
Are you okay? Gotcha. Okay, I understand. But again, never saw you as to me. It's you got to be
6'5".
sloppy. You got to be waddling, and you got to be lazy, and all that stuff.
and
That to me
remember, if
is-
you're fat, you got to smell too.
well,
That's a
you
rule,
don't.
too. You gotta be
You don't
smelly.
smell. That's for sure. But Aaron Judge is the typical guy that really isn't designed to play baseball because he's the guy that if he steps 1 foot crooked, it's going to ruin his body because he's too friggin' big. Now, back in the days, Ron Guidry, you mentioned, Ron Guidry was 5'10", 175 pounds, soaking wet. Ford, what's his name? Whitey Ford. Whitey Ford was 5'8". He was 156 pounds. He couldn't throw 95 mile an hour pitches. So they got bigger, they got stronger, but as a consequence, anything that slightly goes wrong, they get a hamstring, they're out for 8 weeks. And that's what's going on right now. So anyway, you're not missing, you're watching good entertainment. The Yankees suck at this point.
I'm trying.
They beat the Twins
Trying to
last
be
night.
more of a man and not watch, the Pioneer Woman. I'm trying to.
All right, so do you still agree with, as we sign off here, we're at the hour mark right now, but let me ask the question, because this is what I ask a lot of people. Again, you would grow up with National Geographic, then we move on to Playboy, then we move on to Penthouse, then we move on to Hustler, then we move on to other things, then we see reels of 8mm films that we're not supposed to see when we're 13 years old, 14 years old, and then of course the internet starts popping up and so forth. So what I'm saying is, once you start going into this area, you don't need Playboy anymore. So here's Pornhub. So then we get into this whole thing about, once you see great movies, great TV shows, great music and so forth, how can you accept anything new? And here's my question, believe it or not. So The Sopranos, to me, I don't know if you're a Sopranos fan, I don't even know if we talked about it, but to me, the greatest show ever made, I know it's HBO, I know it wasn't All in the Family and so forth, violent show, you couldn't wait till Sunday nights. Are we ever going to have another Sopranos in your opinion?
We did.
How so?
Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay, all right. That concludes our show today. By the way, I just read recently that Anthony Hopkins actually sent a personal note to, what's his name, Kevin Cranston? What was his name, Cranston?
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston, sorry. And he said, you are a tremendous actor. And by the way, Anthony Hopkins is right. And by the way, I saw Bryan Cranston in that stupid Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
He overacted in that. He had a bit role. He was the kid's son, father or so. It was a bad movie. But Bryan Cranston is a very good actor.
Is there such thing as a good Godzilla movie?
Yeah, yes, of course there is.
1954.
Yeah, with Raymond Burr. And he never spent one day in Japan. They shot all that in California. But anyway, so do you agree with me? I mean, so Breaking Bad, by the way, hasn't been on the air for 8, 9 years now?
Right.
So are we lost? What is your favorite shows as we speak right now that have been produced in the last 5 years?
Favorite shows are all on Netflix or Showtime or something like that. I would have to say Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy, and FX was brilliant. And
All the shows already, though.
Shameless.
Shameless. Never heard of it.
You've never heard of Shameless?
Never heard of Shameless. What is that? Who's in that now?
William H. Macy.
Okay.
Oh, please spend some time with Shameless.
And you told me another show with a woman that you really liked. It wasn't Deborah Winger. It was somebody else. You gave me some advice for some show.
You obviously took it.
And I never watched it. I'm just like you.
I did, because she was on Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Who was it? Was Bridget?
It's Stacy.
Stacy, right. That was Vic Morrow's daughter.
Stacy is on a show. It's called Atypical with Michael Rappaport on Netflix, and they're about to have their 4th final season.
Oh, Michael Rappaport. The guy, that dickweed.
That's a good impression.
That fucking... What's he called? President Trump again? Dick Stain. Fucking spitting all over the place. What the hell's up with that dude? Anyway, so that's a good show.
It is a great show.
And is Michael Rappaport actually good in it, or does he play anything else other than the
Stacey,
asshole?
And it's about their son is extremely autistic, and dealing with him. I mean, he's high functioning, go to school, but they have their quirks and everything like that, and dealing with that. It's really a good show. Really enjoyed it.
Say the name of it again?
Atypical.
Atypical.
TYPI.
Is it still on the air now? Are they still producing?
Well, it's on Netflix. It's always going to be there.
Well,
for a
no,
while.
but that's my point. The shows that are being made as we speak. It's probably there about whatever. Okay, so a good show to watch. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, to end today's 3rd episode with Keegan here.
The best one we've done.
Thank you very much.
I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Good, because I thought it was boring. See, remember.
You thought this was boring?
No, I can read this guy. Trust me, and I'll tell you why. Because you're a radio guy. There he is. You're a radio guy. You have attention deficit problems.
Yes.
You definitely you want. Don't get me wrong. I'm just being.
No. I'm looking for the next best thing.
You like being the focus of attention to some
bit.
degree. Yeah, because that's what radio people are like.
Sure.
You like Bobby Ferris. When you walk in the room, you want everyone to see you.
Yeah.
Bobby can take that. He understands.
Yeah.
Actually, you wouldn't.
Oh, you're true. You're true.
But that's all. So, and the other thing.
And I'm worried about what other people will think.
Yeah. Okay. And that was my next thing. I'm insecure. Oz insecure.
Yeah.
You're insecure.
The king of insecure.
Yeah. Jim Levin insecure. Johnny Spisano insecure. We all are. It's amazing. I have learned one thing. as extroverted as people are, when they get in front of this microphone, when they're talking to the masses, when you talk to them individually, they're completely different. They're very introverted.
We'll be in the corner at the party.
Yeah, right. And we're the ones that didn't get laid well, maybe Johnny Spezzano got laid, but I didn't. I had pimples all over the place, and I'm thank God that I didn't, because I probably would have gotten some girl by the name of Amy pregnant, and I'd be going to a bowling league right now in Queens. Karen, or Gina was the big name down in back in the day. Diane was a big name. Brenda. Pam, all those things. Well, this was a very good show, and once again, I
enjoyed it.
And thank you very much. And by the way, it's great to see that you're doing something that you love.
Thank you.
But most importantly, you're doing something that I'm sure that the sons and daughters and family members realize that they're sending their parents. First of all, Ives is a tremendous place. But they must love the fact, knowing that a local celebrity is with their parents on a day-to-day basis. There.
I don't think that's a.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, because everything. Because remember, at the end of the day, having money in the bank where your parents can actually afford a place like that is the greatest thing in the world. I don't know if the next generation is going to be rich, because you know how much that costs. I won't say money, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's a tremendous.
Sure.
And then when you get into the assisted living side of things, it's off the charts. So thank God that this generation, a lot of which is still from that generation, the greatest generation, that are still alive to this day. My mom's 94, God bless her. She has no clue of where she is, but she's still running around with her hair down to her shoulders and so forth, having the time of her life. And I know that she's in good hands, and that's a good feeling. So that's part of what you're doing right now, my friend. Congratulations
loving it.
About that.
It's good.
Awesome.
It's been a blessing.
So let me ask you this before we go. When you get to that age, it's a long time from now.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be? What are you going to be?
Scares the shit out.
It
scares the shit out of me wondering where I'm going to be.
Because now you see it for yourself.
Yeah.
And this is life. This isn't anything else. This is life. So what are your thoughts about that? It's a tough thing to say, but because
I'm very afraid of
everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. But sometimes you should die.
Old
yeah.
And having no one. Okay. Interesting. I don't have any kids. Nobody's going to come visit me. I have nieces and nephews. They don't give a shit about me. Well,
they do. They probably, typical nieces and nephews.
They're on their phones more than
right. Sure.
That's I'm petrified of that, of being alone and being. I'm on a fixed income.
Yeah, right. Right. No, yeah, right. And that's what do you see people that are lonely there, not getting visitors and so on?
No, I don't.
Okay, good.
We live in a community where everybody, there are so many options. Dinner's a big event where everybody comes out and has a great meal.
Great.
And there's just lots of activities. And if they're alone, it's their own choosing.
Yeah. And let me ask you, since you're right on the golf course, do the residents, do they go golfing on Ives Hill, the best golf course in the county?
No.
They don't?
I don't see that.
Isn't that something interesting? Because golf is a game for life. You can golf in your coffin. True. For crying out loud.
I haven't seen that. Well, it's not open.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
It's not open. Even now, it's not open.
He's not cutting. The grass needs to be cut.
Wow. Isn't that something? I hope that's.
I hope it changes, because I want a place to go to have a drink after work, and it's right there.
It's right there. So even the club's not open right now?
Correct.
It's not open.
Please open, PJ. I want to have a beer there.
So Glenn, this is how PJ. Glenn, first of all, I know it's PJ. He's the only guy in my phone which I don't have his name rather. I only have his number. In other words, if it's a complete stranger, I'm like, I don't know who it is. I've seen his number. I won't give out his number, of course, but it's a very distinctive number.
Yes.
It's very distinctive.
Yeah.
Like a businance number.
Like 400 is the last.
Yeah, right.
Something like that.
Something like that. So I'm looking at it, and then, of course, I know who it is, and I pick it up, and I go, and I answer, PJ. Glenn, PJ, what's going on? What's happening? Yeah, look. Whoa. Yeah. So anyway.
I hope they open again. They make the best turkey burger
he's the
world.
Best. And he always had the best chef, because he always did things top notch.
Oh, my God, I miss the food there.
Yeah. Well,
please
hopefully that will.
Yeah. Please.
So PJ, if you're watching this, which I doubt, he's at the end of the bar checking out his whole place and so forth.
Well,
baseball!
Someone will tell him that we mentioned him. You'll know.
Oh, yeah. It'd be cute. I get this call from this guy, Brandon. Who the hell is Brandon? Who's Brandon? Whoa,
he's still listening to us there. He's down on the...
I'm surprised he hasn't texted
He's
me.
hanging out by the trash can listening
by the way,
us.
You know what? Since I've spoken to you, do you know someone by the name of Cass Louise?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to introduce you to Cass Louise, and you'll love her. She's so sweet.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you outright, she's on OnlyFans. You know what OnlyFans is?
No.
You don't? Keegan, where the hell you been? Hanging out with, well, never mind. The old age. Never mind. I won't get into it
Or
either.
another day.
Another day, but she's really sweet.
Episode 4.
Episode 4 will be with Johnny and Cass. And you, by the way, speaking of which, you were a big Johnny Cash fan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Her name is Cass, but I figured I'd add
Okay.
that because I know you were the only guy that really loved that last album that he did before
Loved
he died.
it, yeah.
You really loved it. I'll never forget you saying that. Johnny Keegan or Johnny Tunstall, thank you very much for your 3rd episode.
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you. Awesome. And we're going to sign off here. This is a live shot of downtown Watertown. That's Public Square. On Wednesday, June 9th, 2021 for the 3rd edition with Johnny Keegan here on the H2O Show with yours truly, Glenn Curry. We hope you have a great day, great week, great weekend. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.